Alright, so today I will be doing an experiment to see if cubes really do die, if they get, gummed up and just basically worn out to the point where they can't be used anymore, or if they basically just need to be, cleaned, reevaluated, relubed, retensioned, and, if you can get a cube that's basically going to last you for a really long time. So here I have my first Guhong, basically disassembled to the greatest degree that a cube can be disassembled. This is the first Guhong I ever got. It's probably like close to 2 years old now. Here I have the 24 corner pieces. Each of the 8 corners taken apart into its 3 pieces. The 24 edge pieces. The centers, caps, core, screws, springs, and washers. And then here I have a cup that I'm probably going to fill with hot water, and I'm going to go through and clean every piece. As you can probably tell, they're very black. They're filled with like dirt and stuff, so I'm going to clean everything out, in hot water, put it back together, re-lube it, retension it, and see if basically every cube is meant to die, or if it's possible to continue reusing a cube, because otherwise you may very well just end up needing to buy a new speed cube every few months. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Alright, so I've now taken all 24 of the corner pieces. I soaked them in I guess what I would call hot water, and then cleaned them off, dried them, and now they're laying here. They haven't dried completely. It's kind of hard to get in the parts that are difficult to dry, but I'm just gonna leave it here to let it completely dry before I put the pieces back together. So next I'll do the edges. We'll do the exact same thing, and then lastly I'll do the core, because this is where we'll have the most dangerous pieces. Things like screws, springs, and washers, which are really tiny. So I don't want to lose anything. So I'll do that last. So yeah, next I'll fill the cup with the edges and I'll clean them. Alright, so the edges are clean now. They're face up so they could dry also, along with the corners. So all the actual puzzle pieces are now clean. But they weren't very dirty to start with anyway, so that probably won't have made a big difference. It's the basically the mechanism pieces that are the most dirty. I don't know how easy it is to see, but yeah, my camera isn't going to focus very well, but you could probably tell they're like filled with black. This is really, really dirty. I get black stuff on my fingers just from touching it. The caps are disgusting. The screws are like grungy. Springs and washers are pretty dirty also. So I'll do this in 2 rounds. I'll do it first with the centers, the caps, and the core, and then for the last round I'll do the small pieces. And then yeah, that should be everything. Okay, so this was definitely the hardest part. The centers and the caps and the core. I actually had to get a toothpick or multiple toothpicks and go in and scrape the gunk off from the inside because it's really hard to get in, and a lot of it's sort of like permanently stained on. Like if you look at the core, some of it's still black. There's some like that strip is still black. A lot of that was true with some of the corners and edges. So that's not really gunk. That's just more like the white plastic of the cube that got permanently turned black. And if I'm scrubbing it with hot water, soap, and a toothpick and it's not coming off, it's probably not going to affect the solving of the cube very much. So this is what's done so far, and this is all I have left. Just the washers, the springs, and the screws. These, because they can fit down a sink, I'll probably do these more carefully. I'll just use a cup full of hot water, and I will clean them one by one. So I just put the springs, the screws, and the washers into a cup, a smaller cup. And you can see there's already like dirt sitting at the bottom. Just from the force from dropping it off into the cup is actually making dirt physically fly off. I got some on my finger. So it's This is probably where most of the dirt is, because a lot of this was more just like, scraping it with like a toothpick and whatnot. But this is really, just without even doing anything, I'm already getting dirt. So I would imagine that this is where the majority of the cleaning will take place. So here's the cup after the cleaning. You can't even see the worst of it, but there's a lot of dirt in here. It's crazy to think that that much dirt came out of just the, those 6 tiny washers, the springs and the screws. But yeah, that's probably what was slowing the cube down so much. Alright, so at this point all of the pieces are in fact clean, or at least as clean as I can humanly make them. You got the washers are like nice and shiny, so are the springs and the screws. So yeah, right now I will put together all the pieces first, and then I will work on the core and the lube and everything, and then I guess at the end I'll add a lube sticker just for fun. So I'll do that now. Alright, so at this point all of the pieces are together, all the corners and the edges. So now I just have to work on the core itself and the lubrication. Alright, so the core is together now, and so are all the pieces. So I'm going to now lubricate it, put it together, see how it is at its current tension, and then if the tension needs to change, I'm going to change it after lubrication, and we'll see how it goes from there. Alright, so I lubricated and assembled it, and it's a little bit loose, and maybe it could use a little bit more lubrication, so I'll probably adjust the tensions now and see how it comes out afterwards. Alright, so at this point I am just about done with what is this Guhong. So I took the whole thing apart, including the core, cleaned everything, put it back together, lubricated it, tensioned it, and I've done a few solves, and my times are probably about average to a little slower than average with this cube. Overall, it definitely got better, but not as good as when I first got it. So I'm trying to come up with some sort of a conclusion as to why this cube, why cubes slow down. I mean, even if the plastic's clean and lubricated and it's tensioned properly, it just like it's worn down. I don't know what causes it, but just something with the plastic, like it just feels like it's like clashing. And I guess that's bound to happen to all cubes at some point, regardless of, how well you're taking care of them. So this is like a new cube. This is the 55 millimeters Anchi, still new, so it's really good. And the biggest difference I feel is just like the plastic, like it just feels like there's clashing, and there's like a decent amount of lubrication in it also. So I don't know, it's just, and this is a really old cube. This is like a week old, and I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like this has this sort of like springy feel that you just can't bring back. So did it get better? Yes. Is it as good as it ever was? No. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to invest much more money in lubrication if cubes are just going to continually get worse. I think I'll spend more money on like actual new cubes every couple months or so, because cleaning them and basically redoing the entire cube, it does improve it, but I don't think it's worth it in the end because I couldn't use this as my main. This is just it just can't compete with the cube like this. So yeah, I guess so. Really, the ultimate cause is this kind of just dies after time. But what the actual cause is, I'm assuming it's just lots and lots of solves. It could be something like lubrication, because I know that's a thing of Maru lube. This is Lubix. I know some people said that like Maru kills your puzzles, and I know this did have Maru lube used on it at some point. So maybe that did it, or maybe it's just the solves. I might try this whole process on other cubes and see if I can come down to exactly what causes it. But I think in the end, it's pretty much just time and solves. So I guess there's really not going to be any sort of solution to speed cubing aside from just buying new cubes every couple months. So yeah, that's sort of what I've concluded from this experience. If you guys have any other experiences of your own or any feedback, just let me know in the comments. And if anybody has been using a cube as their main, like the exact same 3x3 for an extremely long time, let me know what lubrications you're using, how you've been taking care of it, because I can't seem to have a cube last as my main for more than, just a few months. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you learned something. See you next time.